Ladies and gentlemen and programmers, we're going to do Codecademy lesson 10 part 4. We're going to learn a different kind of loop. So we learned a while loop. Now we're going to learn a for loop. And make sure you write down 10 for loops at the top of your notes. And then write your name and then answer an intelligent question. How are you going to write down an intelligent question? Well, you're going to come over here to Codecademy, and you're going to go to lesson 4, for loops, and you're going to read all of this, and you're going to learn all about the syntax of how to create a for loop. So make sure you read this, read this. Okay, all right, so now that you've read and hopefully learned a little bit, you're going to come back to the spiel and you're going to answer this question. Why is a for loop more elegant than a while loop in some ways, and what is the difference between the two? Normally I make you do this on your own, but let's jump back here and let's look at it. I want to walk you through it. So a for loop is more elegant than a while loop because everything's encapsulated right here near where the conditional statement is. Okay, so instead of having up here somewhere you initialize a variable I for iteration, right? It's all right here as part of the loop. So you initialize, or pardon me, you declare and initialize your variable int I equals 0 with a semicolon, and then here's your condition, I is less than 3, and then right here next you increment your counter. And so all the control structure is all built in right here. So to me it seems a little bit more elegant. A for loop makes more sense to me than a while loop because everything is all built in right here. Okay, so let's take a look at the spiel here, and let's get us to the next part. Let's see if I can find the spiel. Oh, here it is. All right, what's the difference between the two? Well, they all have the same components, but the while loop, you have to declare and initialize the variable on one line of code. You start the while loop on one line of code, and then inside the while loop, you have to increment your counter, whereas that's all part of the control structure. It's all right there within the parentheses of the for loop. So it has all the same exact stuff. It's just put in different places. All right. So open JDoodle and save a project as Codecademy 10.4. Create code similar to what you see in the video to create a loop that will print something multiple times using a. Oh, I said while loop. That should be for loop. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's fix that. So this should say page up, page down. Okay, using a for loop. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, let's jump ahead to our JDoodle. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to open up a project. Make sure you keep the main method. It's not going to work without the main method. And we're going to hit enter, and we're going to start our for loop. So you're going to say for, and then you have your parentheses, and then we're going to create our counter. It's an integer I equals, I'm going to start with 0, semicolon. And then, so we've declared and initialized our counter variable right there. And then we're going to create our condition. And so we're going to say I is less than, let's say 10. We'll run this one 10 times, semicolon. Oops, I got an extra little something in there. Let's get rid of that. And then let's increment it. And so we're going to say I plus plus. That's not plus plus. Plus plus. And for whatever reason, I put that outside of. I'm struggling here, people. Okay, so there we go. So we have our loop ready to go. So now we have to have our opening and closing curly braces. And what are we going to do? Our classic system.out. And what do we want to print? Something in quotation marks. The count. Hey, Ed. How you doing?
Good.
How was your concert?
It was fun.
Good. You like Bon Jovi?
Yeah.
Good. Hold on, I'm making a video right now, so I cannot talk, but I'll talk to you when I'm done with my video. All right, the counter is equal to, and then we're gonna concatenate, and we're gonna say I. Where's I? Okay. is equal to I, and then we're going to concatenate again. We're going to add to it, and then we're going to say exclamation point, something like that. Don't forget your semicolon at that end. Okay, so let's execute that and see if we made. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 1 through 9. All right, so let's just see what different things we'll do. So if we say int I equals 1, let's see what happens there. Hopefully you can predict what will happen. And it's going to change this first 0 to a 1. Okay, but we still only go up to 9. So we could say is less than or equal to 10. Let's see what that will do. So now it's going to go from 1 to 10. And let's say if we say I, instead of I plus plus, let's say if we say I equals I, no, that's not it, equals I plus 3. And let's change this to 99. And that's fine, I think. Let's see. Okay, so it's going to add 3 each time. Okay. All right, so let's jump back to the spiel here. Let's see what you have to do. Okay, so create a code similar to what I just showed you in the video to create a loop that will print something multiple times using a for loop. Okay, so something similar to that, and then have it signed off in your notes. And then now complete part 4 and move on to, not 4, move on to 5. Okay, and then that's it for this spiel.